All right, friends, and welcome back into another edition of the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. As always, I'm Rob Hipp, two gentlemen sitting next to me that you can't even see right now, and I'm doing that on purpose because we were just talking, man. You know, I'm the producer too, so here we go. And get ready, Ed. You ready, Coach? In
Yes,
3,
sir.
2, 1. There you go. I was trying to get Coach Schaub to point, over there. There it is. There it is. So, well, welcome in, guys. Here we are. Can you believe it's already week number 4, and I'm sitting here, Coach, thinking, where did this come from? Already, you and I were just talking 4 weeks ago, hey, the season's about to get started. We're excited, and now we're about to wrap up non-district play.
Yeah.
It's just an unbelievable thing how fast
it really has.
goes.
It blinks and it's by almost a month of playing football.
Ed, it's been a lot of fun through these first 3, and Coach, you as well. We were talking before, and I wanted to highlight this before we dig in. Obviously, people want to see wins, but here's the deal, and I had brought this up to you, and this is why you do this. You schedule tough opponents for a reason, because it would have been easy, no disrespect to other programs, would have been easy for you to bring on 3 scrappy teams and just, pounce on them, and then go into district play 4-0. I'd rather be – you can disagree with me on this, but someone on the outside looking in – 0-4 and then run the table in district, to start the season. And it's good because these kids, they learn a lot. Maybe highlight that and talk a little bit more in depth about that.
When I came up with the schedule, I didn't want to get state-ranked teams, and I didn't want to get schools our size or smaller. So we went 3 at Division I, and I knew that we would face adversity. And really my hope, and it's, hopefully we get the win tomorrow, but my hope is to get in the district. I'm not saying it's to be easier, but you know what? Like, we can breathe a little bit and start playing football, and I think we'll be better than a lot of opponents. I don't know if we'll run the table. We're sure going to coach to do that, but no, going against bigger schools, that's the dice you roll. So, I don't regret it. I think we're competitive. Get rid of some injuries. I want us healthy, and I want to see how good we are. So that's going to be coming up soon.
Well, a tough contest there on the road, and we were talking too, some of these schools, I don't know if we ever played them. You come in and a tough one to start the season, tough 2 at home with Teague, and then Orangefield. That game at Orangefield very close, and then you battle Huntington last week on the road. And I think going into that, first time we played those guys before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah, and you look at teams like a Crockett or those others too. What is that like for you as a head coach, going in and playing a team for the first time? Because the high school year changes every year, but you don't have any history to go back and look on it. Maybe this coach used to do this or anything.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. We another thing that I like about playing teams that are a little more kids and bigger schools is you kind of expose the weaknesses. You expose things that we as coaches, we don't want to find out on a district loss. Like, man, why didn't we, Hunter Henry going down. Hunter Henry gets 90% of our snaps. Dylan Thomas gets the other 10%. Now that Hunter Henry is out, we call him Honey. Now that he's out, Dylan Thomas has been carrying this team. I did not expect that. We've never needed that. Not only that, we've got Trey Davis, the second, third. So we've got guys that emerged that would have never emerged. And had our running back got hurt in district, I don't want to scramble and figure out who can do it. Mm-hmm. So if we had to have injury, let's get him now. Let's lick our wounds and be hitting on all cylinders in district.
So, Coach, in just kind of exploring that a little bit, is that philosophy sort of, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best?
You got to. You have to. You have to. You're right. We could have scheduled teams that we could have won 60-0, and you know what? The crowd likes that. The town likes. I like that, but I just don't know if we're going to get better not playing the Teagues and the Orange Fields.
Thinking about that whole philosophy last year, the new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, lots of strategies changed, and it seemed as though like the coaching staff sort of grew together throughout the year.
Yeah.
Are you feeling that as well this year?
I am. Last year we started out 0-4, then we won 4 out of the last 6, which that's a great way to the second half of the season. But no, I see the same thing. We've got some new guys coming, a new offensive line coach. He's done an outstanding job. Very, very, very analytical. Our baseball coach, Coach Compton, and so guys stepping in like that. Jackson Howe, that's coming from down south. So doing our receivers. So those guys, lots of Patrick Goodman, secondary, won a state championship in Navasota, been the head coach at Trinity. So a lot of experience, a lot of stuff we're gelling now. And even though we've lost a few games, like our coaching staff, our game plan is really, really good. Yeah. We just haven't put together, maybe defense plays lights out the first quarter and offense waits to play the second quarter. So we need to eventually, if we play at the same time, I think we'll be very, very difficult to beat.
Yeah. We are here on the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. I want to welcome all of you in. We'll consider this segment now as our Cabins and More of Texas pregame with Coach Schaub. Coach, as always, we go back and look back at the previous matchup against a very tough Huntington team. And you've already highlighted a few of those things, but what were some takeaways from that game? Maybe some things that you told the guys after. You start the season 0-3. You don't want the guys to feel deflected or dejected. There's a few things I know that you told them.
Yeah, definitely special teams hurt us in those, for sure, the first game, Teague. Take back some punt returns, and it's a different. Special teams also got us the second game against Orangefield. Last week was a little better at Crockett, so we've learned that we need to fix some areas, moved a couple kids around, so definitely a learning thing. And I told our kids, panic when Coach Schaub panics. So right now, we're steering the course, getting ready for one more tune-up for district, which is tomorrow night.
You mentioned a few things, too, with the backs, and we know that Hunter Henry's been injured, hoping to see him come back this week. But you've seen guys pick up the slack and kind of shine a little bit, talking about TD3. And Travia Davis had a really effective run game on the ground this past week. Maybe highlight a little bit about what you're seeing in that run game.
Yeah, Trey Davis, the second and third, they're identical twins. They're just – I think they're going to be two very good running backs this year and next year, and I'm glad we're getting to see what they can do. Because, like I said, if Hunter Henry's playing, maybe one or two of them aren't going to be carrying the ball. So, seeing guys emerge has been really nice. We've got Jackie Harper has been our D-line forever, and he said, Coach, man, I want to win. Like, I want to go to offensive line, and Jackie Harper doesn't say stuff like that. So, just the fact that everybody want to step in, and we're still steering the course. And we're not deterring from what we're doing.
One of the things you talked about was kind of like with this last game, first quarter have a certain level of intensity, and then maybe it drops off a little bit, and then, third quarter or fourth quarter, right? So how do you get the team, or is that something that needs to come directly from the kids for them to maintain that level of intensity?
There's not many kids that have intrinsic motivation at this young of age. Usually, as you mature, you start to get that. So that's where we come into play to let them know it's okay. Kay Garrett going down at the last play of the second quarter, we didn't anticipate that, and we needed Cade. He's our guy. Mm-hmm. So Devin Wilson stepped in and finished the game for us. But no, we tell the kids adversity is going to happen constantly. Nothing's ever going to go perfect. It just doesn't happen. So. Yeah, keeping them up it hasn't been hard because, we've got some, mentally tough kids, I think, and they're believing in what we're doing.
So it's just overcoming that little bit. They just need to give that little bit extra that maybe they don't even know they have within themselves,
yeah.
Right?
Last night at the JV game, we're up 14-0 on Trinity. Our starting quarterback goes down. He can't move. It's JV white team. We don't have – I think we've got – maybe 10 kids on the sideline. So we put a running back in. We put a running back to take snaps, and they weren't great. But Jace Wells, it's a great little freshman football player. He steps in, and he runs the quarterback, and we win the game. So we knew that next guy up, it is what it is. We hate that they go down, but we got to keep playing.
And, I'm looking ahead too far. For some reason, Warren has been in my mind all morning.
Me too.
And that we're not there yet,
No.
So earlier I had said something about, you're facing a hunting team. This was Crockett that we were obviously talking about this past week. You go in there, and it's a tough matchup against a really good program. We look ahead to Huntington, another team that you guys have not faced yet. Kind of the mindset heading into this one, Coach. I think the run game has been one of those effective things. What are you really kind of working on this week? Some things that you said, hey, if we can do this, we're going to win this ball game.
Yeah, Huntington, they're big, strong, physical. I don't think they quite have the speed we've seen the last 3 weeks, which is a good thing for us. But, no, I think that the game plan against Huntington, we're definitely going to still run the ball. We've kind of opened up some passing things that's for the strengths of our quarterback, Cade Garrett. So I think offensively that I'm hoping this is our best game thus far. And, obviously we'll continue it to Warren next week.
So really, what you're saying is it kind of comes down to execution on the game plan and raising that intensity through 4 quarters. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing you say as far as the keys to the game.
Yeah, and I've told the kids that each quarter we start over. I mean, let's not look back at the last quarter. Let's, if you can win all 4 quarters, you obviously win the game. So, we're taking it quarter by quarter. And, coaches, we get bad about looking ahead so far. And so this week I've told myself we're just going to go quarter by quarter, keep it simple, get first downs, and it'll happen tomorrow.
This is and not to downplay, these young men. We never do that with student athletes, but Huntington, 107 points against. They've only put up 6 on offense. They've been shut out the last 2 weeks in a row. So this is a great opportunity for New Waverly to come in, to take advantage of that, and really build some confidence heading up to Warren a week from now. Do you have a chance, and I know that you've talked about, Crockett was a first-time school, haven't played them before. Now you go to Huntington, play these guys. Is there any communication with their coach during the week? Is there ever anything at this level that maybe you're talking to each other about, or what does that kind of look like?
No, we don't talk. We don't talk at all. No, we talk on Sunday. We text. Coaches never call each other. It's just a thing. We text. He gives me his roster. I get his, and we exchange film. And the only time I talk to him is before the game and after the game.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's not like when I was at NDSU, and they ask, hey, Rob, if you hear anything from the opposing coach during the week, let us know what they're saying. So, Coach, don't worry. I'm not going to hear anything from him, so I won't let you know.
Yeah, I think just kind of exploring that, football is a game of passion, and I think that plays into it. And, we're all competitive. There's, lots of folks involved in this game. Both teams want to win. And you can't fake football, right? Yeah. So it's this high intensity. In the moments of competition, there's probably all sorts of things that happen that, if we had to do it over, we might, and we analyzed it, we might have thought a little differently. But, certainly it makes the most sense to me that the coaches would be calling each other.
Hey, man, what's going on this week? What do you got for me? So, looking forward to this one. Going to be a great matchup. Ed and I will be on the call, and we're going to be traveling down to Huntington tomorrow night. For those that are listening here on the broadcast right now, we are here on Thursday. We invite you to come join us. Kevin Edney showed up today.
I have a live studio audience.
Yeah, we got
the Kevin Edney.
The Kevin Edney here today in the suit jacket and all, man. He came prepared, ready to rock and roll. Coach, you've already answered some of this, but just to reiterate, kind of just because folks want to know, and I know Ed kind of dug into this a little bit, when we look at this team, what are your kind of keys to the game? What are you looking at for this in this matchup?
Listen, no turnovers. No turnovers. Keep the ball in our hand. Don't throw it to the bad guys. It's pretty simple. Wrap up and tackle. We've really worked on that this week. Last week, we needed to do better tackling, and we did that. A lot of physical hits, but you can't hit and let someone bounce off because they keep running. So I tell the kids, stop the legs, you stop the person. Yeah. So wrapping up, no turnovers, and keep the ball, keep possession. I think we'll have more possession time, so that's a big thing tomorrow.
Yeah, hearing all that is music to my ears. Thinking back to the broadcast, even some of our top performers weren't wrapping up. I can pick on him because he's my son, Brody Watto. There was a time when he didn't wrap up. Had he wrapped up, he would have made a big play for his team. So I think that is singular, so important, focusing on the basics, and I'm really glad to hear it. Excited for this week.
And another thing I think nice to highlight is every coach, all 3 coaches this year that I've shooken hands with in the game, usually, good job, coach, good luck. They're like, my God, you guys freaking hit hard. So I do like that. So we're hitting hard. Now let's just wrap up and finish the old tackle. So
a couple of the things that you highlighted I think are really important. Coach Compton doing a phenomenal job as offensive line coach.
I
think
really is.
In the offseason, you and I had talked about how important that was. And then Coach Miller's philosophy of just getting guys swarming to the football.
Yeah.
And the kids really seem to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And we've also been great on getting defensive turnovers, between Mason Bueller, Nathan Dippery, those guys making something happen. We just got to turn those into.
And those guys give us chances. They give us chances. And offensively, we're going to continue capitalizing on those chances and getting there and scoring. And another one, last red zone. Last week we were in the red zone 3 times. We didn't score. And I tell the kids, that's a mentality. I don't care what play we call. It's your will against theirs. It's first and goal from the 4. you're a man. You have to go score.
Yeah, you got to get you got to get that football across the end zone. One of the things that I thought Rob and I had talked about on the broadcast was, I think we've definitely gotten better. I've seen Cade Garrett get better, but Devin Wilson was in at that moment, and you had a free play.
Yeah.
And I saw Brody Watto stop running.
Yeah.
And I said to him after the game, "Kid, get your feet in the end zone." Yeah. But also, Devin wasn't looking to him, whereas he could have been. He was wide open. He just wasn't in the end zone.
Yeah.
So it's all of those things. So to me, it comes down to execution. Is that?
That really is it. I mean, really, coaches, we call plays. Some of it, it's a rock, paper, scissors. You don't know what's going to happen, and to me, it's your will. You get in the red zone, you got to score. 100%, you got to score.
And ultimately, every offensive play is drawn up.
Yeah, it's drawn up to score. It is.
It's really drawn up to work.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
well, looking forward to kickoff tomorrow night. For those of you listening on the broadcast of the game, you're hearing it right now on our pregame with Coach Schaub, brought to you by Cabins and More of Texas. An hour and 43 minutes just northeast outside of Lufkin is Huntington. And, Coach, I do have to ask this, 7:30 or a 7?
7 o'clock.
7, okay.
7 o'clock.
We had an hour pregame.
I had an apology from another coach about that. It's 7:77.
7 o'clock.
7.
We liked it from the broadcast. I was like, because I was there on Ed. We do our 3 spoons yogurt countdown to kickoff, and we raced through it. I said, man, I feel good. We got all of our segments in for the first time. Everything's flowing. And then I look up at that clock, and I was like, why does that thing say 30 on it?
Yeah.
And so we rambled on for an extra 30 minutes. It was a lot of fun, though. It gave us a lot to talk about, Coach. So, well, that'll wrap it up here with Coach Schaub and the Cabins and More of Texas segment. I do have to ask you one question outside of high school football. Coach, you follow the Cowboys fan?
I do.
Man, so how are you feeling right now? I'm a Cowboys fan myself. 27 years saying this is our year. And, after last week, I decided that it's not going to be our year again.
Man, I don't know. I'm a Cowboys just because I'm from Texas, but dang it, they frustrate me so much. We hadn't done anything in 30 years. But, hey, it is what it is.
Well, Ed and I are hoping to get that $500 million contract, for a quarterback. I think maybe we can get it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, I'll ride your coattails all the way into that job.
Well, perfect. Well, Coach, as always, appreciate your time. We're going to talk to a couple student athletes here in just a few moments, but appreciate you. I did want to mention one last thing, though, about Crockett real quick. Boy, how about the crowd? They traveled very well. I'd mentioned to Ed on the broadcast, I felt like we had as many New Waverly fans as there were Crockett fans there at that ball game.
Yeah, lately we've really, really traveled well. The kids, I mean, they notice that when we come out of the tunnel, so it's a big deal. So, yeah, keep on coming to Waverly. Keep supporting us. We're
going to work on some T-shirts, by the way, that say world-famous Edney Burgers, and we're going to raise some extra funds for the Booster Club.
Yes, sir, that is true.
All right, well, that'll wrap it up with Coach Schaub. Always appreciate your time and accessibility. We'll have more here on the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. Stay with us. We'll have a couple of student athletes here in just a few moments. We'll continue. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us. All right, friends, back as we continue on here on the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show on a September the 19th, a hot Thursday. And we appreciate all of you joining us online. We're really excited. One thing that I love about doing this, of course, we do it to highlight these student athletes, Ed, but I go back and do the analytics on these shows. I mean, they're 200, 300, 400 views, just folks wanting to know what's going on. And that's why we don't give away any game day information. We know the opponents are looking.
Yeah, no injury information, no game day information, no trade secrets, right? But to me, it's really amazing. It speaks to the power of New Waverly, the fact that we're getting that many views without a lot of extra promotion. I mean, we want to get more people here in a sort of a live studio audience, and we do have some sponsorship opportunities as well. But, this New Waverly fan base is great. Just like you were saying in the last segment, how they travel really well.
We bring up some seniors that are going to chat with us now. Young man that has been playing well, a senior on his team, right tackle on the offense. It is our joy and privilege to bring on Lewis Smith. Did I get that right, Lewis?
Yes, sir, you did.
All right, I wanted to make sure, man. Lewis has got a future voice in this business. Do you hear that, Ed? Is it?
I do. He's got that timber.
Yeah, you've got that good East Texas timber to you, man.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what that
really
means.
Appreciate it.
I don't know what that means, but Ed brought it up, so it's pretty good, man. Well, Lewis, we'll talk football in a minute. I want to hear just a little bit from you. We always like to get to know the players. The audience always likes to get to know them. So, outside of football, tell us just about your journey here in New Waverly. Were you born and raised here? Let us know a little bit about your story.
Well, yes, sir. I was born and raised here in New Waverly. Actually, my family owned the boat ramp where Kegel is, right down the road from my house.
Okay.
And the government or whatever had bought it out, and now we own property right across the road from it. And I've lived there my entire life. But other than that, about me, I worked with my uncle. His name's Aaron Little. I've been working with him since I was in 6th, 7th grade. And other than that, I've just been I never wanted to play football. I never wanted to play. And then my brother Hugh always played. And my mother, she's deceased now, but she always loved watching my brother play football, and I wanted to be a part of that. But that's something that now when I play football, I always come back to think about her. And I know for the senior night, I'm going to have my jersey because the seniors give their jerseys out to their mothers. Their mothers wear their jerseys on senior night. I'm going to have my jersey on the bench for her to wear.
I love that, Lewis, man. It's an incredible way to honor her legacy. And, I think that's why it's so important. We talk a lot of inspiration, too, on other shows that I do. But that's an inspiration for everyone, It just I just love that, man. It's a great way to honor her. Lewis, it's been a cool journey here at New Waverly, and so many things happen. You get to be a part of a lot of really cool things here in this community. We're sitting here in this beautiful new field house. Ed and I talked about it on the first show, but I want to hear it from you, from your perspective. Windows are coming. Every time I come in here, there's something new. So the windows are in. We've got the display board behind us now.
Yeah,
the doors are coming in. Kevin Edney's here. We're starting to add pieces every show. But what has that been like for you, just seeing all these great changes and how the community is supporting you, young guys?
I was talking to one of my former seniors, and I was just like, dude, so much has changed since we got here. My freshman year, we were walking to the baseball field. We're carrying our pads over there, and it's dry. Can't hardly walk. But now, we get to come in here. We get 15, 20 weight racks. Everyone can work out without on top of each other. We actually can practice without in the gym and just helmet only. I think it's great for the football community.
Physicality is a word that I hear a lot in football. I think it's a word that really over the last decade is really broadcasters have started, in my opinion, overusing it, but I'm going to overuse it right now because I look and see all these weight machines in here. Do you feel like just the endurance, the strength, the agility, has all that really improved this offseason? Because Coach was talking about how opposing coaches are saying, man, it's a tough game, but your kids are hitting hard, man. They're hitting real hard. Maybe highlight that a little bit.
It's always been like before, I'd never really heard the word violent used during football until Coach Miller got here. Coach Miller got here, and he was just violent. And I'd never thought about it, but whenever you're on defense and the ball is up in the air, he said, whose ball is it? And everyone said the offense. He said, no, it's your ball. And I was like, wow. I didn't really understand how physical this game really is. And it's just a big highlight for that for me.
So you haven't been a player that is playing football now, but you said you initially didn't want to. But talk us through that. How does that feel for you now when you take the field, wearing maroon and white?
It's just like my 7th and 8th grade year. 7th grade, I didn't play. I didn't really want to. I had thought about it. My friends who are seniors now had convinced me to play, and then afterwards, I'd really thought about it. I was like, wow, this is actually something really special and nice. And then I'd related back to my mom, and I was like, wow, this is something that I really want to be a part of. And it's just grew on me. My sophomore year, my freshman year, I broke my foot the 3rd game, and I couldn't play my freshman year. My sophomore year, I was kind of I was still iffy on what I wanted to play or not. And my junior year, I started, and that's when it really hit me of I really love this.
Yeah, last year I know we talked about you on the broadcast. Saw some great, offensive blocking out of you. The one challenge, though, I played offensive line in high school. You're kind of the unsung heroes, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't get a lot of accolades. But talk me through that. It's just about doing your job sometimes.
Yeah, it's always – the coaches always say, hey, you guys are the start of the thing. If you guys don't block well, no, the whole offense is off. You can't throw the ball every play. And I just think I know myself. I block. I do the little things that make the whole thing work together. And Hunter Henry said when he was on the podcast, he said it starts off with the O-line. And I love blocking for Cade. I love blocking for Hunter. So –
take us back to last week at Crockett. Hunter didn't play, and what does that pose for you having other guys come in? We saw Travion Davis III, I believe, get some reps. Even the second came in there and got some reps too at the running back position. How does that change maybe your game plan a little bit, or maybe it doesn't at all, but just kind of take us through that journey. What is that like for you?
No, nothing else really changes. Sometimes we hit the holes in certain pockets on the running backs. I'm not a running back, so I can't tell you certain things, but just we have to nothing up front really changes. We just block normally. The running back will run how he runs, and sometimes we don't stick a foot, sometimes we do, and it's just not. They don't have as much running back experience as I think Hunter Henry does, but I think we're all they're all as good.
What was some things we look back at Crockett, and then we'll look ahead to Huntington coming up here in a minute, and Ed and I'll ask you about that, but. Going back again to that Crockett game, what are some areas that you feel like just as a team, some accountability for the whole team, what are some areas that you think you guys really have to need to improve on? You're going up against a Huntington team that's 0-3. They've only put up 6 points this entire season, but it's no gimme in football. So what do you really feel like, hey, guys, we got to come together and do this collectively as a team, maybe on the offense where you play and then maybe on the defense too?
Just really not giving up. I don't think the coaches are supposed to be there to inspire us to play. I think that as teammates, we should inspire each other to play. It doesn't take the coaches during halftime to tell us that, hey, we're not playing very well for us to realize that. We can't come out offense and defense both came out flat during the first half, and then we came out, started kicking a little bit.
I do have one more question, Ed, and then Ed, I know, has got some questions. I'm not one to go on a broadcast and get critical with how a game's officiated, but I did want to ask from a student standpoint, from a student athlete standpoint, not asking, of course, you to talk about the officiating, but I want to talk about the part of it to where Ed and I were saying this on the broadcast, that you just have to put that behind you and move forward. I know there's some confusion out there. So kind of, do you feel like that slowed things down a lot? Did that really get into y'all's heads a little bit whenever there's some confusion out there? And how did you work through that?
Really just confusion. We never really run the wrong play. We run the wrong routes and we are on the wrong side of the numbers or just things like that. But, whenever we can't get the first down, you got to come to the sideline. You can get mad about it, but I just worry about the next thing. I go to Droddy, I talk to him, hey, this guy's doing this, this, and this, and we fix it.
So as you've been a starter on the offensive line for 2 years now, in the rotation on the defense, which is very important to ultimately give breaks to your peers, what are some of what's important to you about your final season in New Waverly when you didn't even think 5 years ago, hey, football is maybe not my thing, but now it is your thing, clearly.
Yes, sir.
What's important to you about this season?
Really just playing good. I want to be somebody that they can go, hey, Lewis is on this side of the line, I want to run the ball to him. But I got to work harder for it. I got to try harder. I just got to put the more work in for that.
Yeah. The pass protection this year has been as good as I think it's ever been. Something you guys need to continue to build on, but I think you're doing a great job. Do we have time for my questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
the very most important part, Lewis, of this entire interview. It's the Ed Watto trivia, and Ed is saving up about $1 million. He's going to figure out a way to disperse to all of you guys and me.
Yeah, so these are –
He didn't bite it, Kevin. He just blew it off.
Yeah. I was focused. I was in the moment, focused on my questions. So, Lewis, there's a couple of questions here, and we ask them, and we hope that you get them right.
You have to get them right, by the way. It's a requirement.
But, the first one is a true or false question. Okay?
Right, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. All right, here we go. True or false? The low man wins.
True.
Bingo. All right. next question.
Wait. Explain the low man. Explain this.
Do you want to
us.
explain the low
it
man
to us for
winning?
those
I
out there?
can, yeah. Just if you're standing up high, it's like leverage. You're easier to push over. When you're lower, it's like you have more of a base.
Yeah, so offensive and defensive wise, you have to be as low as you can get and still maintain your level of balance. And you have more power from the ground through your hips.
Low man wins.
Low man
True.
wins. True.
All right.
Correct. Okay, this is a very challenging question. All right.
Just get
So,
nervous.
Let's say it's you have an opportunity to scoop and score. You're on defense, scoop and score. You pick up that ball. Multiple choice. How long do you have to make it to the end zone? I'll give you the choices. A, infinity. B, the rest of your life. Or C, until the end of the quarter.
I think D until I get there.
The correct answer is actually B, the rest of your life, because you could just keep running around until you die and not make it to the end zone. So.
I'm going to get there eventually.
That's pretty good.
I'm going to get there.
I'm in the middle of college classes. That's some critical thinking on that
It
one,
is,
man.
yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It's deep. My wife can tell you about all the things I say stupid stuff about.
Well, all right, man. Well, camera's right here on you. 1.2 million people watching here in the Lone Star State. Many of them down in Houston. All over, actually. Actually just went up to 1.3 million. So camera's right there. Who do you want to say hello to tonight, young man?
Man, I just want to say hello to my dad. I really appreciate what he does for me, and what he's done for me, and what he's going to do for me. And I want to appreciate the coaches, Coach Miller, Coach Drydy, Coach Schaub. They've been a great help for me. They've always helped me through rough times that I've had due to my past. But I'm very grateful to everybody who has came into my life.
I do have two. There's two other things that popped into my head. One of them, where are you headed? What do you want to do after this? A senior this year. What do you think about? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
So I plan to be a fireman when I graduate. I'm going to go to fire school up in Willis. They have a program where I can take. And then if that fails and I can't be a fireman, actually tomorrow morning I'm going to have an interview with Lincoln Tech.
Awesome.
About getting an application. And I already told her that, hey, I want to do something else. She's like, okay, that's fine. We'll just stick it on the wall and it'll stay there when you're ready.
Wonderful, young man. That's great. Well, I do want to do one more camera thing. You're on YouTube. You're searching your name. You pop up 10 years from now. What do you want to tell your future self right now into the future?
Man, that's a hard question. I just want to be someone great. I don't ever want to be someone that people look down upon. That's just really all I got to say.
Awesome. Well, I can tell you, not knowing you that well, you're already a young man that a lot of folks look up to, and you've got tremendous leadership on this team as a senior. And, as much as we call these games, we're also big fans up there as well, especially Ed.
Absolutely.
So Ed is the number one fan. I'm the number two fan. Kevin Edney's in the number two kind of area too. Oh, real quick, the Edney burgers, are these world famous? What do you think of the Edney burger?
They're good. They're good. They're definitely something after the game that you're going to go hurry up and take your pads off and go grab one. That's one of them.
Do you think Mr. Edney should probably open a food truck and forget being a financial advisor?
He could do them both, but the other food truck sounds pretty good. During lunch, the food truck outside would be great.
Yeah, if it makes sense, then then we would do it. So, all right, well, there he is, man. Appreciate you, young man. Looking forward. Good luck tomorrow night. We'll be cheering you guys on, and we'll be high atop the we call it the Hit Solutions broadcast booth there in the visitor side of the stands. Lewis Smith, great to see you, young man.
Nice to meet you.
All
Thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
buddy.
We're going to take another break. Stay
Good luck
with us.
tomorrow night, man.
More interviews coming your way as I will interview another player. Stay with us and let us know you're out there. A lot of folks are joining us across social media now. All you got to do is just text and say hello, just like Justin Kring did. Justin Kring saying, Coach Schaub, miss you, my brother. So
yeah, and Lewis, just before we say goodbye to him, his his family is in Peru. They watch this. They're our overseas contingent. We're really proud to have them.
My dad had got married over in Peru. He had got married here and in Peru, and his family or her family watches it in Peru. So that's how it got there.
Yeah,
cool.
Isn't that great? We're worldwide on this broadcast.
It's Ed Watto. It's nothing. It's brother Ed. All right, we'll take a break. Stay with us. More to come as we continue on. This is the Bulldog Nation Coaches. So it's brought to you by Ed Watto, Rally Point Advisors. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. More to come here on SHN. All right, I got some Ed Watto music here. This is I called Ed one day. He didn't realize, it's when you accidentally answer the phone, and I hear Ed in the background, wah, 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 and then he bumped the video button, so I saw him, and he was like headbanging and jamming out. I just couldn't believe it, Ed. It inspired me, though. So I found the song that you were headbanging to, and I brought it back on, man.
Well, that's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful.
Well, hey, we continue on having a lot of fun. Ty Smithers, by the way, joining us. He was saying go Lewis a little bit ago. Appreciate you joining us tonight. If you're out there, let us know. We'd love to give you a shout-out as we continue our Coaches Show here, the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. Thanks to everybody for being with us on this Thursday, September the 19th, 2024. And, man, how about this? Ty Smithers in the house tonight. What's going on, Ty?
It's going good.
Ty, real quick, can you give me a bulldog bark real quick, man?
Ooh.
All right, there we go. I'm going to record that one. Ed, I'm saving that clip, and every time New Waverly has a big play, I'm going to add a little depth to it, though, and, put some reverb on that bad boy, and it's going to sound good. All right, Ty?
Yes, sir.
Well, Ty is here with us, nose tackle on the defense, and, man, I remember talking about you on the broadcast versus Crockett. Just kind of like what we did with Lewis a little bit ago. Let us know a little bit about your journey, man, your story here in New Waverly.
I've been living here all my life, I grew up watching my older brother, Jacarius, play football, and he kind of made me fall in love with it. That's why I wear 56, because of him. I try to model my game after him, even though I'm better.
No.
Obviously. I know he's going to watch this and call me after, but, it's the truth.
What's the age gap between you and Jacarius?
He's 20, I'm 17, so about 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Yes, sir.
And he played at New Waverly also?
Yes, sir.
Cool. What are some things that he's taught you that you're now better than him at, that he taught you?
He taught me how to get off blocks. He taught me how to hopefully scoop and score. He had a lot of those. But, just taught me how to be out there, be good, be violent, and put on for the city.
You're a senior here this year as well. I didn't ask this to Lewis because I wanted to save the question for you. Do you feel a leadership role being a senior? And if so, who are you kind of coaching up, the next generation below you?
Yes, sir. Just the younger guys. We got a lot of sophomores and freshmen on the team. Just trying to coach them up, help them get ready for next year after I'm gone, help them, be the best they can. What
are some of the big changes that you've really enjoyed? Obviously, we're here in this really nice athletic facility, the new field house here. And as I said earlier, every time I come in here, there's something new. It's been really exciting to see the progress of this. Looking at this building and maybe some other things, what have you seen over your last 3 going into 4 years here at New Waverly now?
Really, I just like the turf field. It's nice. When it's hot, we come in here. Raining, we come in here. We still hit, which I like, but it's better being outside.
Do you feel like y'all are hitting harder this year? When you said that, Ed's got some questions, but –
yes, sir.
All right.
We hit hard.
We're going to do a demo. One day I'm going to ask Ed to put on some pads, and then you and Ed go at it, all right?
Don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me. I've got all kinds of I'm sure there's probably a whole bunch of physicians that would love for me to tie on, because then they could repair me and try and put me back together after he beat me up. But, Ty, seeing you and Lewis, but, you in particular growing up all these years in New Waverly, seeing Jacarius, and we didn't have these surroundings clearly when Jacarius was here. But seeing you out on the football field, for me, is kind of bittersweet, right? Because you're a senior now. It's I've seen you come all the way through this program. What do you hope to gain out of this season? Like when it is November, when it's January and the season's completely over, what do you want to look back and say about this time at New Waverly?
I just want to say just the greatest of my life. Yeah. I really enjoyed all 4 years. Love all my coaches, my teammates. They push me every day. So when I look back, I just want to thank all of them.
There's been some coaching change. Obviously, Coach Schaub still here in his 10th year now, and 11th year, I believe, actually. And is that right, 10 or 11? I know it's double digits.
He's in his 11th. I think he's been head coach for 8.
Yeah,
what he told us.
There's been some other coaching changes, though. Can you maybe highlight some of the guys that have came on the coaching staff side that's really maybe helped you a little bit more?
Coach Martinez, he just pushes me to be better. He teaches me moves, gets on my butt when I need it. I just love that guy.
So one of the things we talked about with Coach Schaub, you weren't in on that segment, but one of the things that, he wants for this game and for the rest of the season is for us to execute. I know you had a great game at Crockett, but still, at the end of the day, you lost. So it kind of stinks when you had a good game, you lost. But execution is important and intensity. So how do we maintain, like in the locker room, in the first quarter or through the fourth quarter, how do we maintain that high level of intensity and execution?
We just got to play our game. We haven't been playing our game lately. That's on us. We got to come out harder and not flat. We'll fix it tomorrow.
Okay. That's great. Looking in those eyes, I'm convinced that he means it. Because sometimes with this game, football being a game of passion, and you know as well as anybody that you can't fake football. But growing up in this community, watching Jacarius, when you take the field on a Friday night, like what does that feel like to you?
It feels great.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There was a lot of, and I'll expand on that a little bit. It's a great question, Ed, because I think it's so important, how the community engages with these young student athletes. And you go to Crockett, man, how about the sea of maroon that was there? I mean, you look over, you had to be pretty impressed with the travel from New Waverly. Because I looked over and I was like, man, there's almost as much maroon as there is blue in the stadium.
I think we definitely had more fans than they did.
What was that like when you were looking over? Did you ever glance over? Let me put it that way, because I know sometimes y'all are so focused on the game, which you should be, but do you ever kind of glance over and be like, man, that's pretty awesome?
Yeah. We're getting down and running out the tunnel. I glance. Doing the national anthem, I glance. Just makes me smile seeing our community behind us, ready to back us up.
You've talked about a few of the things, that you guys got to work on. What were the thoughts going through your mind after Crockett?
I was like, really, I just got to play better. I don't think I did enough for my teammates, and tomorrow I'm letting them all have it.
What has been some of the preparation heading into Huntington, a first-time team that you guys have never played before?
Just the same. We don't change anything, just going to come out harder.
So are we kind of at the segment?
Yeah, let's dig into it.
Dig into the questions.
You ready for this?
Are you ready for your questions?
Next week, Ed, we're going to have an intro to this. It's going to be da-na-na-na-na-na. It's now time for the Ed Watto trivia. Not tonight, though.
So what is the greatest comeback in New Waverly football history?
My freshman year against Hugh Springs.
That is a true statement.
Like, boom, right there. Walk us through that game, because I wasn't here then. Tell us about this.
Let me just set this up. Hugh Springs, it was actually the greatest comeback I've ever seen in any high school football game, and I'm old enough to have seen a lot of them. Wonderful game because a bunch of these guys were all freshmen and got moved up to varsity kind of a couple of weeks before the playoffs. And then Ty Smithers got moved up and played in that game alongside his brother Jacarius.
Were you playing nose tackle? Have you always played nose tackle?
Yes, sir. Always.
So tell us a little bit more about the Hugh Springs game. Just
when the halftime down, I remember seeing my brother cry a little bit. He's not going to let me say that. He was crying a little bit.
He was crying, yeah.
He was crying a little bit. And I remember Coach Jardy coming in there telling us that we got to get better. He gave them a good game plan. They went out and executed. It just really made us happy.
So that is that Hugh Springs comeback, which was absolutely tremendous. Second question. It's an either or. Does it matter if we score on offense? Well, offense, defense, or special teams?
No, as long as we score.
Okay. All right. That is correct. It does not matter if you score offense or defense or special teams.
See, I wonder with that if these are trick questions sometimes. I'm just waiting on a trick to come out.
Okay. Yeah. Is it ever – the third question. Is it ever appropriate to give your teammate a concussion?
Only if it's against Anderson Schaub on JV.
Yeah. Brody got knocked out of a game by Ty Smithers back at Anderson Shiro when they were freshmen. Same season as the Hughes Springs
I was
game.
wondering, Brody came in and did a UIL. It was really cool. It was a really cool moment because last year, after you guys, the playoff run ended, we covered a few games. The UIL hired us to come in. And so Brody came in and hung out with us. And I kept wondering, Ed, like every once in a while he'd just pause and he'd go, Smithers. And then he'd start talking. And now I know what that was.
Now you know exactly what it is. It's the
Didn't know what that
Smithers
was.
effect. Yeah.
Well, man, so awesome here to have you on, Ty. Excellent young man. What's next for you? What are you wanting to do? What are you wanting to study? Where are you wanting to go?
I just want to go to college. I'm going to major in criminal justice. I want to be a police chief. Yeah.
Are you wanting to go to Sam Houston then, or
Yes,
that's
sir.
what you're looking at?
Yes, sir.
So, Ty, you've got a couple colleges that are looking at you. Like, what is it, how does that change your thought process if, one of those colleges that you've been talking to wants you to come to play for them? What does that do?
Just comes to effect that I still might. It depends on how I'm feeling after the season.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's not after decision. I might. But, I just want to go somewhere where I can get my major in and go be what I want to be.
I love that because I think so many times, Ty, I go back, 20-something, 30, almost 30 years now. I go back to high school and I think about the pressure that I felt, as a senior, like, man, I got to do this, I got to do it. And my dad said, son, do whatever your heart's desire is and I'll support you. As long as you're right, I'll support you. And I love your response on that, saying, we'll see after the season's over, where you want to be. And I think that's so good because you do want to have at least an idea of a game plan, but at such a young age, I don't think you need to be sold on exactly what you want to do until you're ready for that, because I think that puts so much unnecessary pressure on you in some ways.
Yeah, I love to hear this
good.
out of Ty Smithers. It's him talking about how important his major is to him, what he's going to work on, just super important. I think about like Twitter and how we have all these kids posting their highlights and their this and their that. How about you post what you got in your on your math test, right? Because that's what college is all about. I mean, it's the scholar, the athlete, doing well in the class. And then I don't know if you wanted to share that most recent shout out by Jacarius.
Yeah, there's someone that popped up on here, and I wanted to know what you would like to say to someone by the name of Jacarius Smithers. I don't know if I've heard of him before. Sounds kind of familiar. What word, as you look into the camera, do you want to say to this Jacarius that's chiming in right now?
Or maybe a phrase.
Even though I'm little brother, I'll always be the best.
Jacarius, hey, man, are you watching NFL? You got a team?
Oh, Tennessee Titans.
Okay. I love that, man. I'm so glad to hear this because so many times down here in this area, it's like, oh, the Houston Texans. I'm like, man, they're like the Cowboys. Ain't going nowhere anytime soon, man.
Well, he's a big Titans fan, and but they kind of used to be the Oilers,
Yeah.
right?
I was going to say that, man. I was a Warren Moon fan growing up. That was my guy back in the day.
Yeah. It's kind of really fun to have Jacarius watching him because, I haven't forgot his scoop and score. So I'm looking for you to get one this year.
The good news is Jacarius, by the way, he just wants you to know that he is the real 5'6". Camera's right there on you, Ty. Who do you want to say hello to this evening?
I want to say hello to my mom, my dad, my grandma, and I guess my big brother, which is my little brother now.
The little 5'6", right? 10 years from now, I like asking this question. 10 years from now, you stumble upon this video. What do you want to tell yourself in the future?
Man, I still look good. That's all I want to say.
That's good, man, because I'm telling you, once you hit 30, let's just say those
all downhill.
Let's just say those Edney burgers. What do you think of the Edney burger? This has been the discussion this has been like the kind of the floating topic, the Edney burger. What do you think of the Edney burger?
I love me some Edney burgers.
This is going to be a T-shirt, Ed, by the way.
It is, yeah.
We need to get that custom designs by Jules to do this for us.
We're going to sell them for sure.
All right. Well, there he is, our good friend Ty Smithers. So great to see you, young man. Congratulations. And, and listen to this, man. I believe the best is on the horizon for you guys. I really mean that, not just because you're sitting here, but every one of you guys that we get the privilege to talk to, I can sense the humbleness, and that starts from the leadership from the top down, through the school district, through the administrators, through your head football coach. And don't ever lose that, man, because that's what's going to carry you far. You've got it right now, and you're going to continue to grow and build on that, man. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
there he is, Ty Smithers. Ed and I will close it out when we come back. Stay with us. We are continuing on. We got about 10 more minutes. This is your show as we support student athletes here at New Waverly. It is the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. We'll be right back after this. And on the count of three, you know what I'm about to ask, right? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
right, back at it as we wrap up here in New Waverly, Texas. So great to be here tonight. We want to invite you, by the way, if you were out and about, just like Kevin Edney, he's up here tonight. We appreciate him hanging out with us. And I know we joke a lot, but there are so many great people behind the scenes. You know, Kevin helped connect me to so many folks, got me connected to you, Ed, and Matt Register as well. And I'm so thankful for that because I came here just wanting to broadcast football, right? You know, before I had left and went to North Dakota State, I was planning on getting a crew at the previous radio station that I worked at to do New Waverly. I'll never forget, I called this young man, and I asked him if he wanted to do it whenever I moved back because I wasn't planning. I was just planning on just kind of hanging out and direct. And, man, this is a good kid, but he's like, no, you know, you kind of burned me whenever you left the station. I said, man, I didn't. I said, how did I burn you? I said, the station decided not to do it. Wow. So that's nothing to do with me, man. And so, anyways, if you're watching, Luke, you know I love you, buddy.
You know, kid, sometimes haters gonna hate, right?
He's a good kid, but yeah, that. So it was on my heart, and I felt really bad about that when I left because I knew at that point that there would be, they probably weren't going to do it. But man, I say it like this, Ed, and this is the inspiration that I want to share too, is that God's timing is always so perfect, and you never know. For any of you out there watching, whether you're a student athlete and you're rewatching this broadcast, you never know what the next day is going to bring. And that's why you have to stay positive. I'm a believer, so I also say remain in faith. But you have to really look ahead, knowing that if you do the right things, the best is right around the horizon for you, no matter what.
Rob, I think that is critical advice, and certainly in the context of, walking in faith. But as a metaphor sort of for football, right, you have a bad play and then you got to think positive, right? If you start to go into negative thoughts, then it's going to result in the next play you doing something negative. So no matter what happens to the kids out there, and whether you're a volleyball player, a football player, you're running cross country, you've got to continue to think those positive thoughts in your head, because God has a plan for these things. So you just got to stay positive.
That's right, man. And that's what I love about this community. I'm so thankful that the New Waverly community has allowed me the privilege and you the privilege. I mean, you're here, but I'm kind of the outside guy coming in. And it's just been a tremendous privilege. And I was walking – I spent the last 2 days in the Woodlands, down in the Woodlands, Texas. The Woodlands Church is down there. They had it's a production magazine called Church Production. They're a national magazine. They do these capture summits all over the place. Well, this year they chose to be in the Woodlands. And it was really cool. And so I got to learn more about production and just more about cameras. And even though it relates to church production, it actually works for every industry, including the sports industry. So there's a lot of things that I took away from there. In fact, a really nice guy by the name of Dave Evans was there providing some insight. Dave is now at a church called Cottonwood Creek up in Allen, Texas. But for many, many, many years, he was one of the producers for Fox Sports and then Bally for the Dallas Mavericks. And so he brought a lot of his knowledge in the sports world into the church world on the broadcast side of things for live production. And so there's a lot that he taught that I took away from that I'm slowly going to implement even here with our football broadcast for New Waverly and baseball and basketball. But I brought all that up for one reason, because as I was walking by, we got a behind-the-scenes tour of this facility. It's just world-class there at the Woodlands Church. It's unbelievable, the production. And there was a sign. The musicians, and in a bigger church, the musicians, they're known. I mean, they're there every Sunday. They're singing, and they're usually pretty good at a lot of these bigger churches. We have a wonderful one at First in Huntsville. Our worship leader, Alan Barnes, is phenomenal in the worship team. But there was a sign right by the mic. They have the microphones, and they have the picture on a computer, digital picture of the musicians while they're singing. So you know whose microphone's whose. They have everything so organized. And there was a banner there. And read that, Ed. I want you to read that for our audience. This really stuck out to me. As the musicians walk out the door, here's what it says.
This is so true, right?
Can you believe it? This is cool.
Even for me to be here advocating for these kids, it is a privilege to be on this stage. Thank you, God, for choosing
me.
Choosing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went out.
Yeah, but you got it, though. It is. It says it is
Thank
a privilege.
Thank you, God, for choosing me.
And that's the way I look at this, as a privilege, not a right. And so I just wanted to bring that up because I don't ever see – this isn't about me. It's not about Ed. It's not about TJ, who does a phenomenal job behind the scenes.
Oh, my goodness.
Not about Nathan, not about Michelle. It's about these student athletes, and it truly is a privilege. And if there's anything that we can do to enhance the broadcast, now obviously we're not ESPN with the $50,000 a game budget, but let us know. I always welcome feedback and more ways that we can promote student athletes. That's why this year I want to do the coaches show so we could get to know, and the community can get to know these guys a little bit more.
And I'm glad that Kevin Edney's out of the room when you ask for feedback, because he'll certainly give it to me.
There's a whiteboard over here that's being drawn on. Well, Ed, briefly, let's look ahead. Playing a Huntington team, I know earlier I was mentioning, I was kind of looking ahead to Warren a little bit, and I'd mixed up and said something about Huntington instead of Crockett. Obviously playing Huntington this week. You've been to all 3 games in person. I've been to 2 of those 3 in person. I've seen this team grow little by little. I don't want to say it's deja vu like last year, even though we're 0-3 right now, because I feel like this team has a lot of potential. And I know that could be a cliche word, but they do. We've heard from Coach talking about the other coaches, talking about how hard they're hitting and how these young men continue to grow and develop. What are kind of your thoughts and maybe what New Waverly really has to focus on heading in to Huntington here tomorrow night?
I think potential is the name of is sort of the key word there. There is tremendous potential. I think that the kids have to focus on their execution, right? They need to sort of, keep in their brain, what are my responsibilities? What do I need to do on this play? And, with that, maintain their high level of intensity. So if they are out there in a situation where they are just going bananas, playing like a junkyard dog, there will always be mistakes of execution. But if that level of intensity is very, very high, then it's going to make up for any lack of execution with things. So I think it was Napoleon, who was Emperor of France.
Not Napoleon Dynamite.
Not Napoleon Dynamite, but Napoleon said, basically, in the absence of orders, act. Like I didn't think much of Napoleon, but he conquered Europe, right? So his thing, he was a young artillery officer, and Napoleon really just took initiative. And I think what you need is initiative with kids to know, like, I've got to go 110% on every play, even when I'm on the backside of the play.
It's going to say regardless.
Regardless. And I think the thing is about Huntington that is very dangerous, because I see a lot of great athletes across the Huntington team in the film that I've scouted with them, and lots of potential. And they are putting it together, right? And you look at a Crockett team that we played that only won 1 game last year, and then we go up and play them, and they look dynamite, right? And they had lost 2 games by, I think, 5 or 7 points. So Huntington is a very, physical team, athletic, very good football team. They've just had some, some bad things happen at different times that things haven't worked out. So that's why I think New Waverly needs to focus on its game, its execution, and maintaining a very, very high level of intensity. It's like playing like a total crazed dog or junkyard dog, whatever your metaphor is, whatever kind of crazed dog
a mangy dog, but we don't want that.
It could be a mangy dog that's just running around. It can be a little yappy dog, right? But it's just everybody's so scared of the yappy dog.
Oh, yeah, man.
That, runs up to you and you see some big monstrous 6'8" guy who like cowers in the corner because there's this little Chihuahua dog that's
little Yorkie.
Yeah. So whatever your dog metaphor, that's who they have to be. The angriest possible dog that they could be.
Like it. We're going to be on the call tomorrow. It will, by the way, kick off 7 o'clock. We'll have that 3 Spoons yogurt countdown to kickoff starting at 6:30. Ed, it's been a fun one, man. I appreciate you so much. I talk about Ed a lot, and I know we joke around. I said, Ed, I hope you don't mind me. I'm always joking around, taking some jabs at Ed in a jokingly way. That's the kind of friendship we have. But I do want to say this, Ed, I couldn't do this without you. The knowledge that you bring to the table, just how you prepare and study is so awesome, and it's such a privilege for these kids, and it does something so special for this community. So from me, I'll always acknowledge you and say thank you for all that you do, my friend.
You're very kind, but I know you tease because you have a lot of love for me, so I appreciate that. So right back at you.
It's really a lot of insecurities, that's how I deal with it. So, all right, friends, that'll wrap it up here on this edition of the Bulldog Nation Coaches Show. We plan on being back next week right here at the Field House starting around 3:45 p.m. If you're off work at that time, hey, come out and hang out with us. Beautiful facility here, and every week that we come in, there's something new. There's some added layer. You notice behind us, we have the screen up now, and so we're utilizing that. I thought about even next week, Ed, this is one of these really nice fancy screens. I'm going to have to throw some plays up there and let you – it's like a teleprompter. You'll have to go up there and a telegrapher. We'll let you start drawing out, well, if you do this and this,
If we get too much technology going with me, I'll be lost. I'm just trying to manage my phone, and I don't know how you do it with managing the mics.
Do it 1,000 times.
Kicking us out over, it's incredible.
1,000 times.
Thank you so much for helping us promote these kids.
You bet. One final thing, too. If you haven't downloaded the Spirit Radio FM app, do so. For those, you may be driving or you may just want to listen to the game tomorrow night. We pump the audio now through the Spirit Radio FM app. If you go to the Google Play Store or you go to the iOS Store, the Apple Store, you'll find it. Just make sure you download the one that says Spirit Radio FM. It's an icon of a little dove, a blue dove with some trees behind it, and it says the Spirit of Huntsville. You can listen to the game uninterrupted with audio only. If you're on the move, you can Bluetooth it into your car. It's a great way to listen as if you're not able to watch. But we will have live coverage on YouTube, youtube.com/SHN Sports. For Ed Watto, I'm Rob Pipp. A big thank you, as always, to all of the wonderful folks here and Coach Schaub and so many others with New Waverly ISD. Thank you for the privilege. And New Waverly, thank you for supporting these Bulldogs. As I end every broadcast, reminding you this evening, friends, that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. So please provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there in New Waverly needs you. Until next time, go Bulldogs. We'll see you tomorrow night. See you, Ed. See you, Ed.
See you, Rob.